Partisanship's just built into American politics, a deep sense of partisanship.
That's Carol Doherty. He's the director of political research at the Pew Research Center. They just released a report that looks at our political polarization in registered voters and how it's changing.
In the attitudes we see and political values of voters, that they grow more apart, well, the composition of the voters, the actual base of each party is growing further apart.
Doherty's talking about the fact that they found that our two major parties have never been composed more differently, especially when it comes to gender, race, educational attainment, and age groups. First, how many people actually identify with one of the parties? 33% of folks identify as members of the Democratic Party, 26% say they are Republicans, and 37% say they are independents. There's a very small sliver of the US population that is actually independent. So when you add in leaners, you get 50% of registered voters going for Dems and 42% for the GOP.
More people do call themselves political independents than did in the past, in part because they're dissatisfied with both of the major political parties. But when you ask them a follow-up question, which party they lean toward, you see this 90% plus saying they lean to one party or another.
And that's because of a few different demographics that have changed over time. First, the gender gap. For decades, women have been more likely to at least lean Democrat. But Pew found 56% of women now are more Democratic, while just 37% of women at least lean Republican.
Men pretty flat at 44% Democrats, so that 12-point gender gap, it's among the widest we've seen in the last 25 years.
The GOP used to really be composed of people who had at least 4 years of college education. But over the years, that group has been moving further and further toward Dems. And now, 58% of those voters trend blue. When we talk about people who either have a high school degree or lower, they are increasingly going to the Republican Party.
Exactly right. Yeah, this is now the base of the Republican Party. People who have some college experience or no college experience at all. 25 years ago, white voters without a college degree made up a majority of Democratic voters. Now they make up a third of Democratic voters.
For the most part, young people have tended to be with the Democratic Party, but some movement in one particular group has made it an even starker shift. 59% of millennials at least lean Democratic. But get this, 70% of millennial women now lean toward the Democratic Party or affiliate with it.
Millennial men, not so much. I mean, they're still the most Democratic generation, but only 49% or so identify or affiliate, lean towards the Democratic Party. So there's a bigger gender gap in party ID among millennials than among older generations.
What really matters with all of this new information is, should either party be celebrating or really worried? The answer, like our politics, is, well, split.
For the Democrats, again, this broader base of voters, but many of them young, many of them less likely to turn out. You know, given that, may favor the Republicans in the current moment, whereas the Democrats might have an advantage going forward given the age profile of the two parties.